Hello. This game runs smooth under and fully supports crossplay with PlayStation and the PC SX2 emulator, with the future looking
Hello.
I asked Azrael what he watching
Hello.
share the word, enjoy the community if you want to give it a try. He also has a YouTube channel that shares
Hi.
link will be in the description down below. Thank you once again, Azrael, for making this segment of the video possible. It's greatly appreciated. My time with Tribes Aerial Assault was time well spent, if you haven't guessed already. If I had to summarize my experience in paragraphs, I would say it's like the very first time. Sure, it's deep in some areas like the shooters, but its delivery is just so raw. It's unlike anything you play today. It's a perfect example as to why it's too now, for something about Tony Hawk Underground, I was unaware that Tony Hawk Post-Shooter series was huge. Before Activision was opening Call of Duty every single year, Tony Hawk would be their golden goose. That was until they started to run out of ideas. Basically screwed themselves over with add-ons that no one asked for. That being said, Tony Hawk Underground at the time was seen as it had a stronger emphasis on the game story and introduced some of its mechanics, such as being able to and giving you the ability to drive a car. Underground is the type of game where you can spend hours playing it without getting bored. It's as if the game puts you under a spell the second you pick up the controller. It's best described as a game that you would play after a long day's work. You know, some of them play where you kick back your feet, sip on a beer, and listen to YouTube in the background, and just chill out. So picture this, it's a Wednesday afternoon, and I'm thinking around, working on the video that hopefully you're watching by now. Hop onto Underground, not expecting to find a single soul. Well, when you know it, I just so happen to come across another player chilling inside an empty server. So here I am, sitting in this lobby with a dude by the name of Bill. I said, "What's up?" He then replies asking me if I have Kick Messenger. Remember that app? I'll be honest, I haven't used that since like 2012, I want to say. I decided to be a smartass and told him I use MSN Messenger instead. Anyways, it turns out that Bill over here has been playing since the 2000s. He has been trying to find other people to play with for quite a while now. I told him about the Thug 2 event coming up on the PlayStation 2 online Discord channel. By the way, if you're trying to find others to play with, I highly recommend joining that channel, link in the description. Then we just kind of parted ways and skated around Tampa. This is why I love this game. Everyone is so relaxed and content with skating around for hours on end. It's like eating dinner with an introvert. Not a single word is spoken since your company does all the talking for you. That makes any sense. It's the equivalent of reconnecting with an old best friend. Sometimes going back to old games from this era, you're reminded of just how poorly things have aged. Looking at you kills a little. However, Thug somehow feels better to play in 2021 than it did in 2003. I don't know about you guys, but I've always found that Underground had some of the best mechanics in the entire series. I find that it strikes a perfect balance of being approachable for anyone new to Tony Hawk, while requiring hours of trial and error to fully understand its depths of its gameplay. Simply put, it's easy pick up and play, but hard to master. It's a perfect example as to why gameplay will always triumph graphics any day of the week. So what can you do online in Tony Hawk Underground? Well, as a matter of fact, there's a ton of things that you can play. In terms of game modes, if you want something competitive, you got classics like Trick Attack, where the main objective is to simply land as many tricks as possible, or whoever earning the most amount of points, winning the game. Easy peasy. Then you got Graffiti, where you tank individual parts of the environment in order to take
Yeah.
If I had something else to
Take that.
you have to unlock all the levels in single player and more of them. What this means is that you have to rely on the host to have every level unlocked. Considering that it's hours to complete the game, you get access to all the maps. It's kind of a pain in the dick. Thank goodness there isn't a cheat code for unlocking. Now I'm sure there is a Game Shark code out there that does fix this problem, but it's still really annoying. You can only play on New Jersey for so long. Now bug used to allow you to upload and download user-created levels, just like you could in something like Far Cry 2, for example. However, I don't believe the service actually works anymore. I tried this feature and gave me a connection error. Sure, it still works or not, but it's still pretty damn cool. They think that Eversoft envisioned this way back in 2003 on the PlayStation 2 is pretty forward thinking in my opinion. Tony Hawk Underground also has this quirky face scan tool. This lets you scan a photo of yourself to be used as a custom skater in the game. So get this, in order to use this feature, you first had to take a photo of yourself, then email it to Neversoft, and then from there you can download directly in-game for your PlayStation 2. Being curious, I decided to send over this goofy-ass photo to the Neversoft email in the odd chance that it still would work. It turns out that I was over a decade late for the party. God damn it. Fun fact, Rainbow Six Vegas also had a similar feature, but instead of having to send an email, you can take photos using the Xbox Live Vision camera. The end results would always look really scuffed, but it's still pretty damn impressive nowadays. Now, I used to play this game religiously as a kid on the GameCube, and it still holds a special place in my heart. It's almost like comfort food to me. It was a game that I would go to whenever I was having a shitty day at school, or dealing with the death of a loved one. No matter what, Underground always seemed to be as a kid. This was also my first introduction to Underground. I would have known the likes of Madlib, MF Doom, Nas, J-Live, Ari the Rugged Man, Neltron 3030, and Campbell Ox if it wasn't for this game. Shout out to Neversoft for doing their homework, and big ups to the audio team for having such a great taste in hip-hop. In short, I'm really glad I had the chance to revisit Underground again. This is personally my favorite game to play online on PlayStation 2, without a doubt. Next up, we have Automodelista US 2. Automodelista is unlike any other racing game that you've probably played before. I describe it as if you threw both Gran Turismo and Need for Speed Underground into a blender and sprinkled some of that good old cel-shaded goodness into the mix. Now, the US version of this game is still offline, but as of last year, the Japanese version of Automodelista US 2 was successfully brought back online. The person behind this revival is fellow YouTuber Graders Lab. He's also working on bringing back the original Automodelista as of the recording of this video. Best of luck, and thank you once again for making all this possible to begin with. Anyways, I've never had the chance to play this game before, so I reached out to my buddy Canal78. We spent an entire Thursday afternoon playing this forgotten gem. Let's get the basic stuff out of the way first. Automodelista offers two multiplayer modes, races and club meetings. Races come to expect from your average racing meeting. You got some iconic tracks here, such as the Suzuka Circuit and the US Speedway. If that's more of a snooze fest to you, you can channel your inner Takumi and take on either the downhill or uphill tailgate tracks. With over 30 circuits to choose from, there is something. Moving on, let's talk about cars. Automodelista is built to the brim with fun, unique vehicles to drive. Since this is the US 2 edition, it also includes both Japanese, Korean, and American vehicles. If you love GDM, then you got your basic bitch R34 Skyline and Mark IV Toyota Supra. There's also a bunch of fun Type Runners, Subaru WRX STIs, and of course Mitsubishi Lancer Evolutions. If you fancy more of a pocket rocket, there's a ton of K cars to choose from, such as the Hatsu and a Suzuki Alto Works. If you're more of a no replacement for displacement, goddammit, type of fella, all the three big manufacturers are here too. You got Corvettes, Mustangs, Camaros, and even a Dodge Viper. I would love to see more obscure American cars here if I could nitpick. I feel like a 1987 Burger Capri would have fit the whole cel-shaded style of this game, or even a 50-piece Dodge Nominee. How can I not talk about Automodelista without mentioning all the goodness it is? The cel-shaded art style is a video game no matter what resolution you play this at, 4K or 144, it'll always somehow manage to look good. I love the small attention to detail here too, like the animated smoke that pops off your tires whenever you drift around.
Shouldn't have died. Shouldn't have gotten caught. Hey, my horse! You fucking bastard. That fucking bastard scared away my horse.
The way cars handle in this game is reminiscent of the original series. Every vehicle has its own distinct characteristics that separates them from each other. Front-wheel drive cars are easier to control, but have the caveat of being able to snap oversteer at a moment's notice. Rear-wheel drive cars are a lot harder to control, but are more responsive for rapid bends. Meanwhile, all-wheel drive cars are basically a perfect balance between both drivetrains. Being more of a jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing. On the other hand, the game feels very arcadey. It's honestly hard to describe without putting the controller in your hands.
He's a good guy, right?
Reddit that compares both versions of the game side by side. You can clearly tell the original was a lot more arcadey and approachable, while US 2 is much harder to pick up and play. I personally found the car handling in US 2 to be overbearing at times. It's as if the game doesn't know it wants to be an arcade racer or a simulator. I respect the fact that Capcom tried something different, and I can definitely see its appeal. But this style just wasn't for me. I've heard others describe this game as a sim game. I think that's a perfect way to describe US 2. Here's something cool that you can do with Automobilista. You can use what the game calls club meetings. It's essentially a glorified parody where everyone loiters inside an empty Japanese parking lot. If you live in Canada, you can see the exact same thing inside a Tim Hortons parking lot on a Friday night, minus the amount of littering in D-Series Civics trying to burn out. That on topic made the boys just chill and relax after spending a few hours of racing. You'll want to know something weird? Almost every game on the PlayStation 2 handles the in-game keyboard layout differently. It's as if every studio was turned out to each other and make it as shitty as possible. In Auto, you scroll through this line and put each character individually, while in Killzone 1, it uses this weird square block system. The player has to type each character based on the X, circle, triangle, and square layout. Just so odd, man. Kinda makes you wonder why they just didn't opt for a portable keyboard layout. You guys A1 for creativity, and I don't know. Anyhow, one cool thing that you can do inside the club meeting is change camera angles perspective on this top-down view. It kinda reminds me of playing Parking Panic on cool that games on the phone as a kid. Shout out to anyone in chat who remembers that one, and mainclip.com.
There's plenty of... How are you... No, I'm not moving. You can do this. Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. In short, I'm glad I had the chance to play Automobilista. It's a fun and effective racing game that any fan of the show down below if you want to get this game a shot for yourself. The next game we're going to probably consider as one of the most criminally underrated first-person shooters on the PlayStation 2. That, of course, being Cold Winter. Released in 2005, Cold Winter was developed by Skryim Studios, best known for Rugby Challenge 2006, and 50 Cent Blood in the Sand. Now, this is a game that doesn't get much attention nowadays. It was a shooter that didn't necessarily push the envelope, but experimented with some cool ideas. It had an impressive physics engine that let you interact with the environment. The ability to push down tables and use them as a makeshift weapon, and most notably, its top 4 system. Cold Winter also offered an underrated online mode. Like is the case with a lot of PlayStation 2 games, it's practically dead nowadays. Or so I thought. Alright, so my journey with Cold Winter took place over a span of 2 weeks. The vast majority of my time spent here was sitting inside an empty lobby, shooting out bottles all on its own business. I want to say that within a 2-week time period, I came across at least 3 random people, but the rest of the times were spent...
Crop inspections, crop inspections.
The best way I can describe Cold Winter to someone who's never played it before is that it feels like one of those mid-2000s first-person shooters that you can play on PC. The OGs in chat might remember that old PC mod from back in the day called Urban Terror. Playing Cold Winter, for whatever reason, kind of reminded me of that game. Maybe it's the game's art style or how they share similar weapons. I don't know. Regardless, that's a good thing since that mod kicked influence from that series. What I like about this feature is how depending on the gun that you're using, the amount of damage to the body will differ. So for an example, using a pistol, you won't inflict much damage outside of making a bloody mess. While using an AK-47, you basically rip anyone a new asshole. I appreciate the fact that it isn't as over the top in comparison to something like Soldier of Fortune, but it's still enough to make a statement. It finds a balance between the two, and the devs should be applauded for making it work seamlessly on the PlayStation 2. Man, the guns in Cold Winter are great. You got the old-fashioned M4A1. That is ideal for mid to short-range gunfights. The AKS-47, that's perfect for picking on fellas from a distance. There's a handful of bolt-action and semi-automatic rifles to choose from. You got this cool gun called the Hammer, which is like an automatic shotgun that can rip people apart. And of course, how can I not forget the flamethrower? For whatever reason, the developers make this gun not just loud. There's a good amount of varieties to the weapons, all of them are fun to use, and yeah, what else can I say? Good stuff. If I had to find a bone to pick with this game, I'd say that the explosive weapons are way overpowered. I had encounters where I tried to duke it out with someone using just an SMG, but if they happen to have like an RPG or grenade launcher, well, tough shit.
What?
Since a lot of level design has a player running through linear corridors, it makes it damn near impossible to avoid these things. On top of this shit,
what are you talking about?
Disable explosives outside using a different weapon preset, which sucks ass since most of the presets have at least one explosive weapon in them. If the developers were less powerful and easier to encounter, then I don't think it would have been such a big deal, but hindsight's 2020, I suppose. I like how the game lets you pick up a bunch of random shit. For example, you can pick up axle grease and an alarm clock. The alarm clock is just a grenade with a timer attached to it. While the axle grease...
What are you talking about?
I tried Googling it, but it kept giving advice on how to properly store bike in the winter. So, who really knows? For a game that released in 2000...
Why are you tweaking?
Well, I mean, just look at it. This might be one of the most impressive looking games on the PlayStation 2. I like how the developer would including the small details, such as how the smoke after how dead bodies will attract flies over time. It just goes to show how much love actually went to making this game. Another cool mechanic that Cold Winter has is that
pet your horse.
So let's say I get into a gunfight and take like 5 shots. Over time, your vision and health will fade from your wounds. Eventually, your guy will just drop dead.
I'm gonna pet your horse again.
Hey, I thought this was a pretty neat feature. Kind of remind me of playing something like Escape from Tarkov, for example. Cold Winter also has an interesting twist on popular first-person.
I'm gonna pet your horse again.
Domination, for example. In traditional Dom, you usually have 3 points across the map, where 2 teams fight against each other.
Hey, can I pet your horse?
It follows a similar structure, but it uses free-for-all into the mix. It basically amounts to everyone fighting for themselves and needing to capture 5 points spread across the map. Instead of standing in one spot for 10 seconds, you need to physically hold the
You guys are cool.
in order to capture the objective. This has a caveat of making you vulnerable to anything else around you, since there's no way to defend yourself. I gotta say, this is a fun take.
Ow!
Much more